Feeling lonely, it sucks. If you're here with me now, you've likely experienced the pain of feeling lonely or isolated at some point in your life. Social connection is imperative for humans. It improves our mental well being and our physical health. Studies have even shown that a lack of social connection can be more detrimental to your health than smoking or obesity. So, what do you do even if you feel lonely when you're surrounded by people? Well, today we're diving into the stigma of loneliness, the difference between being alone and being lonely, and why most loneliness tips haven't worked for you in the past. And then we're going to get into my top 3 solutions to shift from feeling lonely to feeling connected. So stay tuned. Welcome back to the podcast. I am your host, Abby Medcalf, and it is wonderful to be here with you. This is a tough topic. We're going to go deep today, as we always do. And I really think you're going to walk away with a new understanding about loneliness and things you can actually do, which aren't the usual, go find new friends and go to this and go do that. That stuff usually doesn't work because of the thing that loneliness is really about. So I'm gonna go all the places today. And before we jump in, I want to mention again that I'm going to be starting a Patreon in January of 2025. I'm not sure when you're listening to this, and I'd love to hear from you. You can email me at abbymedcalf.com or through the website, abbymedcalf.com, or you can DM me or however you want to do it. Comment under the video, just what you would love to see in like a paid subscription with me. Obviously, I'll have no ads. You can listen ad free, but what else would you like? I'm thinking of some Zoom calls where you can ask questions directly, some live chats, some things like that. So I got lots of great ideas because I would like to feel more connected to you. And to me, these are exciting ways to maybe go deeper in our connection, and I can be more helpful. So I'd love to hear your thoughts and just let me know. So let's talk about it. Let's talk about loneliness and a sense of belonging. It's absolutely a deep social need that for all people. And, we want to be loved, understood, accepted. Loneliness is something I need you to take seriously and work on because studies have found significant associations between loneliness and poor mental health outcomes. And we know it's bad for your physical health too. In fact, it's been found that lonely people die younger than those who feel connected. So I really want you to work on this. I'm taking this seriously today. I hope you're going to really sit down and take some time to listen. And as always, I want to remind you, if this is your first time with me, that all the research, everything all the links, everything I'm going to talk about today, you can find on the website, abbymedcalf.com. Just come to this podcast. You'll see it up there. There's also a relationship tips and tools page where I write out a full blog post with everything I'm going to be talking about. So if you don't want to take notes, you just want to listen, you can go there later and just copy and paste right from there and have notes and have all the links and everything else. And of course, if you're watching on YouTube, hello, there'll be all the links under the video. And please like and subscribe. And if you haven't yet, it's time to write a review for the podcast and tell me how much you love me, because that really helps. Helps people find us. So there are 4 core issues when it comes to loneliness struggles. Okay, so there's 4 main issues. One is that there's a stigma. People often don't like to admit that they're lonely because there's a stigma attached. You might be ashamed to say you're lonely because you fear that people, that they'll think that you're somehow unlikable or unlovable, that you're deficient in some way. The second thing I see is, this idea of, well, how could you be lonely? We have all felt lonely in a room full of people. So how can you feel lonely if you're in a relationship or live with children or other family members or have friends? I get this question a lot. Well, how can I be lonely? I have all these friends. And some of you listening don't feel like you have any friends or any people around you and that you're very isolated all day. You might even be working remotely and, maybe even never leave your home as the day goes on. So, but this is for everybody today, whether you feel lonely in a room full of people or not. But it's sometimes harder or hard, I shouldn't say harder, but hard also when we do have people because no one is buying that we're lonely. We don't even buy it because we think we're crazy. People are always asking us for stuff. We can't wait for alone time, but we still feel lonely. Because if you don't feel accepted, if you don't feel heard, understood, you can feel even lonelier surrounded by other people who are supposed to get you, right? Who are supposed to love you and understand you. You might feel lonelier like that than you did if you actually were alone. The third issue I see is that there are lots of stereotypes about what lonely people look like. No family, single, sitting at home alone in a dark room, likely with a lot of cats or empty pizza boxes around. But loneliness can show up in a variety of ways. We can see it through fatigue, anxiety, depression, anger, irritability. Again, it's this feeling. So yeah, there might be some also underlying mental health issues like depression or anxiety, but loneliness might be the cause or at least a contributing factor that's being overlooked. So that's another issue. And then last is kind of what I already mentioned earlier. The other big issue I see is that a lot of the tips are focused to me on the wrong things. Loneliness tips are often exclusively around how to make friends and how to be with other people and how to get, physically connected with others. I always do research for the podcast. I write up what I'm going to write up and then I go look and see what other people are saying. And when I was looking up that kind of question on Google or YouTube, invariably there was so many things, and no hate to people who wrote that, but there were so many things written about um, you know, join this group or do this or whatever. And while those things are great, they're sort of missing a greater point. Okay. The main which is at the heart of feeling lonely, again, especially in a room full of people, it misses the fact that loneliness starts as an inside job. To feel less lonely, you have to do internal work before the external work. And this is true already because you've done the external stuff. You've gone to church and you've, called your mom more and you've gone out, every Thursday with your friends or whatever, and you're not feeling less lonely. Or you do for a short period of time, but doesn't last. Yeah, I know. I know I'm not in your home videotaping. I know because my clients come and report this all the time. So I want to help you with and through this. So let's talk now about loneliness versus being alone. Because loneliness has very little to do with how many people are around you, because loneliness is subjective. Okay. They say that beauty is in the eye of the beholder. Well, so is loneliness. And what I mean is that loneliness is a feeling, not a fact. It's subjective. It's something that it's not a fact. Researchers define loneliness as perceived social isolation. The key word here being perceived. So, according to researchers at Oslo University Hospital, and I'm quoting here, feelings of loneliness depend on one's aspiration, what you want for contact, perception of contact, and evaluation of your social ties. Okay. So do you see how much this isn't about a fact? Researchers, and I'm going to butcher these names and I apologize. I think it's Maike Lumen from, she's at Ruhr. Do I say, I'm sorry, the Germans who are listening, you can just rank on me all you want. It's RUHR University in Bochum, Bochum. Sorry. I know it's Germany because I looked it up because it sounded German, but I wasn't sure. So Lumen and Louise Hockley, who's from the University of Chicago here in the US, they say, and they've been researching this, that it all depends on what you think is normal. And I love one of them, and I don't remember who, but one of them said a teenage girl could feel lonely if she has only two good friends, but an 80-year-old woman may feel very connected because she still has two good friends, right? Again, subjective. It's point of view. It's beauty is in the eye of the beholder thing. So loneliness is all about how you think and how you feel about the relationships you have including the one you have with yourself. So when I say how you think about your relationships, I'm talking about your beliefs, right? That's what your thoughts are. A belief is just a thought you've had over and over again that you believe is a fact or normal or just the way things are. So I've worked with some people who got divorced after many years of marriage and felt so alone. They still had kids, friends, colleagues, meaningful work, but not having a primary partner destroyed their ideas of what they thought their lives would look like. Single at 60, what a loser. This I've heard this out of my clients' mouths. Not having someone to talk to every night or to be around, even though they didn't like their spouse, hence the divorce. Ended with them feeling completely alone and isolated because of their beliefs that you had to be married to not be lonely or whatever, or that of course I'm going to be lonely because there's no one here sleeping in the house with me. How you feel in your relationships, so how you feel, so that's how you think in them. How you feel in your relationships is the other factor in loneliness. Do you feel connected, understood, accepted? Do you feel heard? Do you feel loved, valued for who you are and not just what you do for other people? These are the big questions you got to ask yourself. But being alone, it can be amazing. It can offer a feeling of solitude, which again is very different from loneliness. When I say this to clients who, are telling me they're lonely, they tell me, well, it's okay if you're alone when it's your choice. And, then I can feel solitude and even relief. But when it's not my choice, then it feels different. And I will tell you that I have, again, married clients, kids in the house, lots of people around, living even with their mothers-in-law or something, or, brothers or something. And they tell me the same thing. And they have choice, right? They could be around people or not. They go be on their own or not. And they tell me the same thing. Again, it's a faulty line of thinking. These beliefs you have are what's creating this feeling of no choice. So, in other words, I want to say this really well. Sometimes you need to solve a problem, and other times you need to solve how you feel about a problem. So we'll be talking, and I think that's a biggie here. People want to solve the loneliness problem by, you know, joining groups or doing something again, which can be very effective. But as you know, you might uh, ask a friend to dinner and they say no, they reject you. Or you take it as a rejection. They say, "Oh, I'm so busy, with the marriage and the whatever, I can't come." And then you feel worse. So I would say in that case, you tried to solve the problem. Now you got to solve how you feel about the problem because this outside stuff isn't doing it. Are you picking up what I'm laying down? That's okay. So I had a client who was telling me about this, it's if it's not a choice, it equals loneliness. And his wife had left him and he was living in an apartment now without all the comforts of his former home. Okay. So their financial life had changed quite a bit. And we discussed so many ways he could connect with people. Everything from, calling some old friends to going back to church to joining a class to learn how to cook, right? Great place to meet some women. He shot all the ideas down. His ego was preventing him from doing any of these things. And he would say things, like, well, my friends don't want me bothering them, or I'd feel like a loser, alone in a cooking class. And I had to say to him, like, these might not always be things you're comfortable with, but they're available to you. And your beliefs are what are holding you back, your feelings about this, not anything else. He was suffering from what many do, he was thinking other people were judging him and he didn't want to appear needy, God forbid. But let me tell you this. Studies show, again, I'm going to link to all the research. So I'm not just saying studies show and it's made up. This is actual research. Studies show that lonely people overestimate the likelihood that others don't want to connect with them. Yeah. Your lonely feelings are likely impairing your social judgment and you don't even realize it. You don't even know it's happening. So don't let your ego or internalized shame stop you from reaching out to people. And I want to reiterate that being alone or in solitude can be a happy experience. You can find your center, align with yourself, get to know who you really are. It's a time to reflect and find what makes you happy because it's not about other people. And here's the key. There's many keys, but here's the one I'm going to give you. The best way to create deep connections with others is when you're fully aligned with yourself. When you're in that zone, you come across as happy, grounded, and centered. And this is very attractive to other people and will attract others to you. And not just anyone, but your true peeps. Okay, your true people. And I would encourage everyone to do, I have a calibration exercise, how to get your calibration into like sort of a higher energy state. I'll link to that video. It's a few minutes of your time and will really help kind of raise your vibration and sort of raise how you feel in a moment, your hope, your optimism, all the good things. And these are the things that help that are very, don't you want to be around people who seem very uh kind of at peace, ignited about life, excited, enthused, um, just or even just tranquil? Aren't those people you want to be around? Well, guess what? When you're that way, they want to be around you. And the bottom line is that you can't look I say the bottom line a lot, sorry. There's a lot of bottom lines, I guess. Okay. But the bottom line is that you can't look for something outside of yourself to make you happy. Okay? I'm sorry, you can't do it. You know, I don't care if it's food, spending money, drugs, alcohol, or other people. They're not the answer to feeling more connected or content in your life. They're not. As I said earlier, again, lots of loneliness tips don't work because they're focused on the amount of people in your life instead of the quality of those relationships. It's the quality and not the quantity. And again, if you don't start with the relationship with yourself, you're not going to find the lasting connections that you seek. You're not going to find them. And when you are in that place of feeling connected with yourself, you will see something. I'm telling you, things really shift. So, and I'm going to talk about it in my first tip. So let's talk about the three ways to deal with your loneliness. Okay, three ways to deal with your loneliness. All right, and tip number one is it's this inner alignment. Okay, one of my favorite authors, I actually named my son after him, uh, is Dr. Maxwell Maltz. He wrote a book called Psycho-Cybernetics that changed my life, even though that name is so funky sounding. Psycho-Cybernetics. It sounds ridiculous. It was a book really when I was coming off of drugs, getting off of drugs, that it changed my life. I don't know what else to say. It's really one of the seminal books I've ever read. So highly recommend. And I didn't name my son Maxwell, by the way. It's just Max because we thought they're always going to call him Max. Why have a longer name? But it's after this man. um, he said, and it's going to sound so trite, but it's true. If you make friends with yourself, you will never be alone. I know it sounds so corny, even as I say it out loud, but it's the truth. My love, my dear, my friend, my beauty, it is time to fall in love with yourself. You've got to shift your mindset. It's time. It's time to take off any negative blinders you're wearing and find ways to really like who and how you are in the world. It's time to choose you. It's gotta be. You are not going to take care of this loneliness problem without it. I don't know what to tell you. All the other things in the world, all the people around you in the world ain't going to do it. And I know because that stuff's easier, isn't it? In a way, I'll just, figure out, start going to mosque. I'll start going to temple. I'll start going to church, no, I mean, yeah, those are great things if you want to do them, but it's not going to take care of if you don't feel aligned, if you don't really like yourself, have something that you like. I don't like everything about myself. Come on. None of us do. I don't think. God bless you if you do. You're probably not listening if you do, because you don't need me. But you gotta overall, I think I'm a good person in the world. I know that I try hard. I know that I mean well. I know, do I do it all perfectly? Nah. Uh, do I say things sometimes and I wanna, just woo, take that back? Yes. But overall, I think I'm good. I'm a good person in the world, and I'm proud of what I've accomplished, proud of, where I'm at. Not every single thing, you know, Wish my butt looked different. There's other things, but mostly. So the amazing Brene Brown, can we have a conversation about any of this stuff without Brene Brown? I know I tease that I don't like her, but of course I do like her. But part of me is like, um, because it's so quest, it's so the words are kind of airy fairy to me. I say with so much love to Brene because I love you, girl. Um, but so my cynical New Yorker is like, but it's really good stuff for me, when I get past some of the wording. Uh, she talks about, the quest for true belonging, because that's what really we're talking about when we talk about loneliness. She had in her very aptly named book, right? It's one of the later ones. It's called Braving the Wilderness, The Quest for True Belonging and the Courage to Stand Alone. Okay. I know. See, when you just hear the title, you're like, really, really, Brene? But she's, famous for a reason. Because there's really good stuff here. But I love this quote from her. She says, true belonging is the spiritual practice of believing in and belonging to yourself so deeply that you can share your most authentic self with the world and find sacredness in both being a part of something and standing alone in the wilderness. Again, I know some of this language. Are there any cynical folks out there? Can I get an amen? I know I hear sacred and wilderness and all, but don't throw out the baby with the bathwater, as we say here in the United States. Although that's a horrible turn of phrase, but um, she says that true belonging doesn't require you to change who you are. It requires you to be who you are. Come on, mic drop. Give it to her. Give it to her. That's some good shit right there. That's some good stuff. It's true though. It's this courage. It's this integrity. It's this internal alignment that is so important. And boy, is it hard. I will say, as I've gotten older, I care a lot less what people think of me or about my butt or other things. I still care about it though. Do you still care about your butt? Do you really want to talk about Abby's butt right now? Abby, why are we speaking about your ass? I don't know. I don't know. I'm not sure how I got here, but you gotta, you gotta really love who you are. And I think as we get older, we are less self-conscious in general. I hope you are if you're older like me. Um, and for any of you who are younger, like we all say it, start earlier, stop caring so much about what other people think of you. It's in every report and research document and study you'll ever read. When they ask older folks, what do you regret the most? They say worrying so much about what other people thought or doing things I thought because other people wanted it. It's amazing. So one of the things Brown talks about in her book is that, courage to stand in your authentic self comes from trusting yourself and trusting others too. She says there are 7 traits that make you trustworthy. And I really liked these. Okay. Because really think about that. Being trustworthy, you've got to feel that you're trustworthy to yourself first. If you want to truly, again, feel less alone, like your company, become your own best friend, really feel replete, ready, connected with yourself. Yeah, of course we want these other connections. Of course we want meaningful relationships in our lives. That's what this podcast is all about. I'm with you. But you got to start, in this place. So, 7 things. 1 is be reliable. If you make a promise to yourself or someone else, you have to honor it. And I think this is such a big one. If you just did this, I think your life would change dramatically. If you stopped saying, I'm going to start a diet on Monday and but didn't, or only did it for a day and then stopped, if you stop making promises to yourself, I'm going to stop smoking, I'm going to stop drinking, I'm going to drink less, all the things we promise to ourselves. I'm going to get into that big exercise regime, and then we don't honor 'em. So I'd like you to make less promises and really hone in on just a few that you can keep. And please start small. Please don't go, I'm never going to eat sugar again. Maybe just start with, I'm not going to eat sugar on Monday and see how that goes. Or I'm going to commit to 2 or 3 days or whatever it might be that you believe you could actually do, that not like, I'm going to do this no matter what. That's how I need you to be. And the same thing with other people. I am a very optimistic soul, and I think that I can bend the space-time continuum, I guess, subconsciously. So I tend to say yes to things when I should say no, because it's like my knee jerk. And I've tried to get so much better at this that I will say, like, yeah, I'll go out here. Yes, I'll come. Yes, I'll bring cookies to the bake sale. Yes, I say yes, yes, yes. And then later I cancel because I can't do it. Later, I'm like, I'm not, or I say I'm going to bring 5 things to the bake sale, but I can only bring one. So I've really tried to be so much better with, you know, saying doing what I say, and trying to not have a knee jerk of people pleasing or saying yes or being so optimistic that like, sure, I can make that happen, but to actually think about things so I can honor my commitments. So that's number 1. Number 2 is owning your mistakes. It's okay to make a mistake. It's okay to do something wrong, but you've got to own up to it. That's trustworthiness. It's not being perfect. That's not trustworthy. It's that, yeah, I screwed that up. Like I'm talking about. Yeah, I screwed that up. I'm really sorry. I overcommitted. I need to get better at that. And here's what I'm going to do, or here's how I'm going to be better. Number 3 is to respect boundaries. So, if, you know me, I talk about boundaries nonstop. You've got to, mostly again, the boundaries with yourself that you say you are setting up, that way people have to treat you. And then, of course, please try to respect other people's boundaries when they put things out there. If they say, I don't want to talk about this, stop talking. If they say, "Please don't come over without calling first," don't go over without calling first. Try respect what people ask. Read the room, read the signals. Number 4 is to not gossip. Don't When someone, shares something with you, whether it's a secret or they just share something, they shouldn't always have to say it's a secret. Stop telling other people. Just stop doing it. Stop gossiping. Don't repeat someone else's business to someone else unless you said to them, well, I'd really like to talk to mom about this. Is that okay? That to me is very different. But don't just talk out of the side of your face there. Like, respect. Number 5 is to decide with integrity. And what that really means is you got to trust your gut. Trust your gut and follow that inner guidance. I did a whole episode, which I'll link to, on how to know if you are trusting your gut, right? So I know some of you are asking that right now. Well, I don't always know what's my intuition or my gut and what's something else. I did a whole episode on it. So you can go listen and know how. Okay. Number 6 is stop judging. I know this is tough, huh? Instead of judging, be curious. Okay. Just ask questions, be curious. And number 7 is really be generous. With your time, money, skills, kindness, whatever you got. Doesn't have to be money, doesn't have to be time if you have something else. But think in a generous way in the world. And when you do those 7, you start to really build a trust environment around you. And that creates, I'm telling you, connection with yourself, with others. It creates tranquility, it creates peace, ease, joy, connection, all the things. It's kind of amazing. So I'm with Brene on this one. But I am going to talk about some new things you can do, or you might try. Maybe some of them aren't new to you, to build your relationship with yourself. Okay. I'm going to give you that too. Because who loves you? Abby does. That's right. So I'm going to give you some things right now. And let me just say the other 2 tips I have are pretty short, but this is really where all the meat is. But so but I want you to try new things with the idea that you're trying to get to know yourself better and become a stronger person, not with the idea that you're going to make friends, that I'm lonely and I have to meet people. Do you see the difference here? If you go in with this fear-based idea and this fear-based energy of, I don't want to feel lonely anymore, it's going to have you grasping. It's going to have you in a different kind of energy. And that actually pushes people away. That fear-based energy, people are not attracted to. They don't want to get near it. They're not even sure what's going on. You might be saying all the right things, but they feel the wobble. I call it the wobble, and they back up. So you want to, I think, approach everything with the idea of like dating yourself and becoming stronger and learning to love yourself. So to that end, there's some things you can do. I would say top of that list, I have a free, did I mention it's free? Of course it's free. Optimism Jumpstart Workshop right on the shop page of my website. We'll also link to it, I'm sure, directly. And you should take that. It's going to be an hour of your time. It's the optimism quiz that was developed by Martin Seligman at the University of Pennsylvania. We score it together. I help you and I talk about what it means. Okay. But when you can raise your optimism levels, guess what? And you can. Seligman has a very famous book seminal book called Learned Optimism, and that's kind of his whole thing. So you can learn to be more optimistic, which will help you leaps and bounds in your resilience and your loneliness. I mean, your connection. It's kind of unbelievable. It's it's really a biggie. It's like mindfulness to me. So I would take that first and foremost. Set aside an hour, hour and a half of your time. Go take the course. Again, it's free. Why wouldn't you? And it's like a video. I do it via video. So and who doesn't again want to spend more time with Abby? Okay. There are things like a personal strengths quiz, strengths, a personal strength finder quiz. I'll link to one I really like on under the video again, or on the show notes page, or on the blog post page. But you can look those up too. But I have one I really like that's research based. Go online and join a meditation group or a yoga group or something like that. I have a meditation course that you can buy. I think it's $11. It's how to learn to meditate for 15 minutes in just 15 days. Meditation will absolutely help, and without a doubt. I also have a free meditation starter kit. Start there if you don't want to spend any money. I'm always here for you. You don't have to spend money, as you know. Sign up to learn a new language. Not just like Babbel or Rosetta Stone or whatever. Maybe even think of taking a language course at a local school, somewhere where you go in, and again, maybe you can meet some people. Start an appreciation or gratitude journal. And note three things you appreciate or are grateful for in your life. Do this every day for 14 days, and it has to be something different every day. I'm telling you, you're going to start to really think about your life differently, about who you are differently. It's going to raise your optimism levels. It's going to help you really think about who you are and how you are in your life. You're going to start to really realize how much you have going for you in a different way, which again will be very attractive as you're out in the world. And I'm telling you, people are going to start falling in your lap, or connections will start falling into your life. And that's how that works. I'd love for you to also go all in on learning self-compassion. A lack of self-compassion is associated with feelings of loneliness. I like that from the research. So learning how to truly be self-compassionate isn't just like a cool thing to do, or, something Kristen Neff taught you. I think you should treat that like a prescription. And I have, again, an entire episode I did on self-compassion. You can buy any book you want from Kristen Neff, who's kind of the queen of researching self-compassion. uh, that's important work to do. And then you can go deeper and work on self-love, which is different than self-compassion. Uh, According to the American Psychological Association, self-love is having regard for your own well-being and contentment. I know. And we're talking here about treating yourself the same way you treat other people you love. The Brain and Behavior Research Foundation defines self-love as any action, I love this, that supports your physical, psychological, and spiritual growth. Yeah. Self-love is huge. I define self-love as connection to your inner being. Being connected to your inner being means you are aligned with source, the universe, higher self, God, nature, whatever you like to call it. Okay. It means you're focused inwards, not outwards. And it's really a place of peace and inner knowing that I don't know how you got to have it. When we're practicing self-love, we're gentle, we're kind, and we're patient with ourselves. And that's huge. The other thing you can do around the compassion and the self-love is a loving kindness meditation. It's really like a guided visualization meditation. I have one. I will link to it. Again, if you love listening to my voice, if you can't get enough Abby, do this 2 times over the next 2 weeks. So, I'm sorry, 2 times a week over the next 2 weeks, so 4 times. Listen, it's about 20 minutes, so you have to, get in there. Even if you don't meditate, it's fine because it's guided. I'm talking the whole way. Uh, I would listen to a loving kindness meditation. And again, you can listen to other ones. I follow the script from the research, so which shows how effective it is. So you just want to make sure that it's a good one, so to speak, an effective one that's linked to what we know works from the research. Okay. Okay. Tip number 2. That was all just tip 1. But again, these next 2 tips are a little shorter. I really want you to focus on generosity and service. When you're lonely or you feel lonely in the middle of people, it's very helpful. Service is very simple. Uh, I think it's a Mother Teresa quote, help one person at a time and always start with the person nearest you, right? That's Mother Teresa. Pretty 99% sure. You can call me out if I'm wrong. So whether it's the person working the cash register at a grocery store, your neighbor, think of the one small act of kindness and it really will change your day and theirs, right? Being of service. You can be of service to people, to animals, nature. I, you know, we all know I don't do nature, but it seems like a lot of you like nature. So be of service to nature. If you feel like you have trouble with codependency or doing too much for others, then really think about being in nature. Lots of good research about it and doing an act of service for nature. Maybe just pick up garbage, trash or whatever in your local forest or something. Do you have a local forest? Do people have a local forest? Let me know. I don't actually we do here in the Berkeley area. There's lots of local parks and things with lots of trees. But, think of just, I don't know, you volunteer an hour a week or something. There's a lot of things you can do and just be mindful. Generosity, acts of service, they really create connection and that helps ease loneliness. There's no two ways about it. When you're feeling lonely, your world becomes very narrow. Your amygdala gets all ignited, that fear part of your brain. You end up withdrawing. Sometimes you might even be treating the world like a hostile place. So, helping a person, your dog, the planet is a great way to change perspective and find, motivation, inspiration. It helps you bond, feel appreciation, feel gratitude, right? And as a side benefit, it's a great way to create new relationships, bonding over a shared value or interest. It's a surefire way to find your peeps. If nothing else, it'll create some meaning in your day, which in turn creates a sense of confidence, of joy, of relief. These are good things. And tip number 3 is to practice the skills to be, really good at connection. It's a skill. Connection with others is a skill. For some reason, everybody I talk to thinks this is something you're, just born with it. No, that's not the case. You are born with a certain temperament and you develop a certain attachment style, right? I talk about all those in previous episodes. But from there, it's all about learning and developing skills. I don't know. It things to learn. So here's what I did. Well, I didn't do it. My assistant, my people who helped me did it. My wonderful people who make my world run. we we made, I'm gonna say we because I picked out the videos, made a YouTube playlist. And it's called Be a Connection Boss. So you can, if you're on YouTube right now, you can go to my page, go to playlists, and look down for Be a Connection Boss. It's there. Or I will link to just that playlist in all the places I say I leave links. And so you could just go listen to the playlist. It's a group of short videos, not hour-long videos. They're shorter videos to learn the different components of how to connect with other people easier than you might think. I break down all the skills, right? Good communication, how to listen, how to give feedback. All of these will help you deepen your connection to yourself and the people around you, right? Getting great at connection will help whether you're feeling lonely in, again, a room full of people or whether you feel like you don't have a soul. Getting those skills down, working on them is really important. And it's not easier for people who have lots of people around to work on the skills. Some of them get so, people pleasing and inundated with other people's agendas that they actually find it the hardest. So I really, please, whether you're around people or not, work on the skills. I want you to do these in order, really, if you can. You can do all 3 or start with 1 and work your way down. But doing these things is going to help alleviate your loneliness. Getting to this relationship with yourself, finding some love for yourself. This isn't toxic positivity. This isn't, oh, I'm great and it's all puppy dog tails and rainbows. That's a bunch of BS. And that's not something I ever say. And if you've heard me for any amount of time, you know that. This is about what I already know. Why am I here with you? Why did I start the podcast? Because I know if you had access to really effective, skills, that you could change your life. Absolutely. From what it's been, you can tell a new story, have a new narrative about who you are in the world. And again, if you can't solve the problem directly, you have to solve how you think about it, how you feel about it, and you feel the way you think. So you have to change those thoughts so you can change your feelings. You have to change those perceptions of what you've decided is true because it ain't. You know? It's not a fact. And if you're feeling lonely, disconnected, and sort of hopeless or helpless about things, then that is certainly not true. It is we are here for you're here. There's great love here for you. I say it because there is. And if you're not accessing that, I wanna help you get there. And I don't have 50 close friends. I don't, I have a very small inner circle because that's all I need because, it's harder to find, I think, like 100 people you connect really well with. I think it's much easier to just have like a person or 2 or 3 that you feel that connection with. And again, I work mostly on my connection with myself. I practice what I preach. I spend that first hour of the day in connection with myself, my meditation, my prayer, my, reading things that uplift me, that whole thing I do is to help me feel connected and good with for me, it's with source and myself and to really feel aligned. And that helps me tremendously because we all get feelings of loneliness. We all have moments of lying in bed and just feeling so alone in the world. Everybody has it. It's that we don't allow that to be our story. Okay. So, thank you for spending time with me. Whew, I love our moments together, I really do, and I'm so excited about season 7 and everything I have planned for you, and again, I'm really excited about starting this community in January of 2025 on Patreon, and I can't wait to really I think it's gonna be Patreon at this point. I'll let you know more as we get closer, but I'm excited to hear from you what would be most helpful in there. Do you want courses in there? Do you want other videos in there? Do you want just more time with me, like on a Zoom? Like, what do you want? What would fill you up and make your life better? I wanna hear about it. So, yes, this is something you're gonna need to pay for, but the, fees will be nominal, and, I just wanna broaden the work I do. I wanna deepen it. This is my 7th year doing the podcast, and I'm ready for the next chapter. So, I hope you are too. All right. Mwah. I love you so much. Have an amazing week, and we're gonna talk real soon.